Today I'm going to be building a 1 minute, a 10 minute, and a 1 hour LEGO Marvel build. The only catch is I cannot go even a second over the time limit. Now you all remember that iconic scene from Avengers Endgame where Captain America picks up Thor's hammer. And I feel like that scene mainly just had like debris everywhere. So I feel like that could be a build that you can make super simple or super complicated. So using the simple look, I'm going to make that scene my 1 minute build. So I went over to my drawers, I grabbed my pieces, and I started building. Now it always surprises me how little you can build in 1 minute, but on this 8x8 base plate I was able to get some rubble on the corners, which I think turned out pretty good. There's also this really good Captain America figure standing there with his hand out. There's also Thor's hammer flying through the air on some clear pieces, and then there's Captain America's shield on the floor stuck to a clip piece so that it won't move around. And on its own it's not a very good build, but I think for only a minute it's actually pretty good. But now it's time for most people's favorite superhero, Iron Man. I've decided for the 10-minute build I'm going to build Iron Man's armory / workstation. And I want to make it like a decent size, and I don't feel like 10 minutes is enough time to come up with an idea, build it with trial and error, and have it complete in 10 minutes. So I've decided that I'm going to do a little bit of planning so that whenever I build it, it can actually be a pretty decent sized build for only 10 minutes. So after planning for a bit, I grabbed all the pieces that I needed and I started building. So for this Iron Man armor, I kind of wanted to go for like a diorama type thing. So there's this nice black border that goes around it. It's basically built up by black 2x however long plate pieces. Then it has black bricks that go around it, and then it has some black plates on top of the black bricks. And then on the other part of the black plates, there is some smooth pieces that go around it. It doesn't really matter what color, but I used dark gray. And then I just set the actual diorama part inside of the black border. So the build has 3 armories behind Iron Man. It has a roof going along the top of it with a light in each slot. Then it has 3 Iron Man suits Mark II, Mark III, and Mark VI. And I think the armory is pretty simple and it looks pretty good, except from the back. And the floors are tiled off with dark tan. And then there's Tony sitting at his desk. And on the desk there's 4 computer monitors, his phone, a red mug, and his keyboard. Then on the right there's a radio, and on the left there's some like control system. And honestly this desk looks pretty bad. It's not like smoothed off or anything. Those monitors are on this weirdly placed pole that's stuck out of the desk. And I get that this is all my design, but it still looks really weird. I mean, I only had 10 minutes to work off of and a little bit of planning before. But anyways, I have one more build to do. The 1 hour build. Now for those of you who have been able to play the PS4 Spider-Man game, you would remember the scene where the Sinister Six teamed up on Spider-Man on the rooftop, where he got defeated and thrown off the ledge. Well, I thought, what if I recreated that scene for the 1 hour build? Now I will say the roof does not look the same, and I changed some of the villains up, but the build is the exact same idea from that scene. And with this one, I had no prior planning because I had an hour this time, and I wanted to try and make something pretty big, so I just started the timer and just started going. Okay, so the recording ended like 2 or 3 seconds before the timer actually went off, and I did the little border diorama thing again on this one, and for some reason I could not get the actual build inside of the border, and I got it in like a second or 2 before the timer actually went off, but you didn't see because the recording ended. But I got it in before the timer went off. I promise. I'm not lying. I'm not. But actually, I had such little time left that my border doesn't have the smooth pieces on the second layer in gray. And it should have that, but I did not have enough time to do it. But anyways, for this one, it shows Spider-Man beaten down. His mask is also ripped off and he's hanging over the ledge of the building. Goblin has him pinned down and he's about to lose. This build also has Vulture flying in the background, Electro floating, shooting electricity, Scorpion walking over. There's also Sandman walking over with his sand hammer in his hand. And there's Mysterio on this really cool like power piece that he's standing on. And then he's shooting stuff at Spider-Man. And as Goblin has Spider-Man pinned down, Spider-Man's mask is also behind him on the ground. And Goblin's glider is also floating behind him. And the glider is really just the glider from the bridge battle, but I made it a little bit smaller so it'd fit the MOC better. And also on the roof is this door, which is the way to get up to the roof if you were going from the inside up to the roof. And it's also not tiled tiled off because I flat out did not have enough tile pieces after I tiled off the roof. And I mean, I technically could have done this, but it looks horrible this way. Honestly, I think it looks better just not tiled off instead of doing it that way. But if you open up the door, it leads to literally nowhere. And honestly, it was a last minute decision, so I don't know how accurate it is to an actual New York building. But the rooftop is completely tiled off aside from some studs to put the minifigures and builds on. Now, I like tiling stuff off, but with this one, it looks kind of weird because I couldn't really get it symmetrical on both sides because I didn't have enough tile to do that. So yes, it's completely tiled off, but it looks a little weird because I couldn't get it symmetrical on both sides. But it's still better than being just complete studs on the roof. Now on the sides, it has this little smooth ledge part between each divider. Now it sadly kind of gets covered up by the border because it's missing that smooth gray layer that I wasn't able to put in, so it makes it go down a layer. But aside from that, I actually like the little like pillar divider things. I think it makes it where the walls could have been super plain, but I ended up making that one little change on each side, and I think that gave it a lot more detail. But I still think that the best Spider-Man build that I've made was this one from last year. I have no footage of it because I just built this in my free time, and the picture quality isn't that good because it was taken on my phone. But this one is like a bomb bridge from the Goblin, and Spider-Man has to save all the people. I think it has a lot more detail and stuff than this one because I had way more than an hour to build it. But anyways, this just goes to show what you can make in 1 minute, 10 minutes, and an hour.